And I immediately found myself feeling more grateful for the fact that I could slowly give her a bath and enjoy every moment with her without stressing about needing to go back to work the next day. Hey, sweet mama. Happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Mom in Process. I'm your host and creator, Amy Cawthron. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this is your first episode, welcome to this podcast for stay-at-home moms. I have been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years now. My oldest daughter just turned 8. If you haven't listened to other episodes, I have 2 younger daughters as well, ages 6 and 2 going on 3. So I am what you could say and in the thick of it. We are knee deep, neck deep, I guess would be better, neck deep, ear deep, head deep in motherhood, in raising young children. And along the way, I've learned a few things. So here we are chatting about it, creating a community of support for stay-at-home moms. And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today and listening to this today. Really quick, if you would like to be more present in the community and continue the conversations, I encourage you to head over to our Facebook group. We have conversations going on stemming from the podcast. So we take the conversation a little bit deeper. And we also have some questions that we pose and open it up for dialogue, Q&A. Anytime you have questions or you're struggling or you need some support, then we have the private community Facebook group for that, which has been really fun to see it growing. So, but what I want to talk about today, kind of going back to this idea that I was saying, is that I have figured a few things out, but it is not to say that I have it all figured out. Mom in process is this concept and this idea that we are all moms in process, and motherhood is a fluid identity. It comes and goes. It's always shifting and it's always changing, and we are and will forever be moms in process. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to record today, I was chatting with Brad. Actually, Brad is my husband, and we're going through some struggles right now of finding balance, honestly, which I've talked about. If anybody's listened to the podcast in the past, is really unobtainable. Like consistent all balance all the time is unobtainable, but there are moments throughout our days and throughout our weeks that we are very much consistently feeling off balance. And by we, I genuinely mean me. I was kind of chatting and venting about it a little bit. And the topic came up of being a full-time mom and being a stay-at-home mom. And Brad asked me a really good question, and I've been thinking about it quite a bit. And it's, what did we want when I chose to step away, when we chose for me to step away from my career to be a full-time mom when our oldest Gracie was so young? And I've been really thinking about that. And it's actually hard to articulate this idea that we have of being full-time moms. So I'm going to do my best today to share with you a few things that I think will really resonate and hopefully inspire a lot of you to go further into your days and go into this week with some empowerment and some motivation and just some encouragement from me that we are all in this boat together. We talk about the importance of our roles in raising the future generation, but I want to go back to the feelings that we had and the vision and the dreams and the goals that we had when we first became stay-at-home moms. And I genuinely believe that those goals and those dreams and those visions happen regardless if you choose that role or if you're sort of forced into this role based on whatever situation you're in. Maybe it's a financial situation, maybe you're a military family, and so it just doesn't work for you to work outside of the home. Whatever the situation is in your life, again, whether you've chose this role or this role has been sort of chosen for you, I think we all begin this role, especially as new moms, or even if you're starting in this role and you've already had children, this is a new shift for you. I think we have a vision for what we want within this role for ourselves and for our family. And in past episodes, I talk about us kind of looking at this new role through rose colored glasses. And, there's actually value in that. And that's the moment that I want you to go back to right now. I want you to take some time. If you're struggling in this role, especially, I want this podcast episode to be a support for you to return to. If you're struggling to find the value and the worth in the role that you're in right now, I want you to take a moment and I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to go back to that moment when you felt so inspired and excited to become a stay-at-home mom. I'm just going to kind of go off of what I imagined. A lot of you might be thinking, I'm going to have so much time to work out. I'm going to have so much time to pursue the hobby that I've been really interested in doing. I want to start sewing. I want to start gardening. I want to start cooking more homemade meals. I want to start looking forward to Mondays and not dreading them. I want to love every single day of the week and not live for the weekend. So I want you to go back to all of these beautiful thoughts that you had, this huge vision that you had, this elated vision that you really put up on a pedestal for this new role that you're in, that you're going to be in as a stay-at-home mom. I want you to take a minute and go back there and feel it, because it is a feeling that you have of excitement, almost a giddiness, and go back there for a moment and take a breath and understand this is what you have the opportunity to do. This is the opportunity that you wanted to have in this role, because I want to tell you that all of those things are possible. All of the things that you thought that you could obtain and really try and do when you first started out in this journey, it's all possible. Your only limitations in your life are the limitations that you put on yourself. I know that your children take a lot of time. I know that they take a lot of work. Trust me. But all of the possibilities that you had envisioned are possible if you commit to them and you take the time to work on them. Now, can you do all of those things every single day? Absolutely not. When we talk about intentional movement in this podcast, it's so that you can take care of yourself in order to raise your children. And that is possible and needs to be a priority that you make every day so that you have the energy to pursue some of these other things that you're interested, like these extra hobbies or creating a cozy home, even if it isn't a hobby, so that you have the energy to create the space that you had envisioned. So when I first started out, or before we had really made this commitment, I had serious rose colored glasses on. I think I've shared this in other podcast episodes too, where I was like, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. And I'm going to be like this hot mom with this hot mom bod. And I'm going to sew my kids' clothes. And I'm going to do, just all these things, and be the best wife. And I'm going to just have this spotless house. And we're going to have like the perfect yard and the perfect garden and just all of this stuff, like, right? Like up on a pedestal. And is everything going to be perfect? No, absolutely not. Am I going to have the perfect mom bod? No. But can I work on my body? Yeah, absolutely. I can do that. Am I going to have a spotless house? No. But if I follow the things that we need to do by taking care of ourselves, I'll have the energy to keep up with my house and maintain it and create that cozy space. Am I going to have a absolutely perfect yard? No, but we'll have time on the weekends if Brad's home and have the energy to tackle the yard, to mow the grass, to pull some weeds, to work on it, because I'm not exhausted from the work week out of the house, I've been able to be home and keep up with the laundry and keep up with the house so we can shift and pivot into weekend mode and work on things together, or get up in the morning and work in the yard and in the garden with the kids for even 45 minutes or an hour. That's none of that is possible when you work out of the house. Okay. When you're pursuing a full-time career and trying to raise a family, those things aren't obtainable. So, what I want to talk about are some of the things that I found valuable or I was excited about that hopefully brings you some inspiration and maybe just triggers some memories and takes you as into like a flashback mode of things that really filled you up and lit you up and got you excited about the possibilities and the potential of being a stay-at-home mom. So the first thing that I had to write them on my little whiteboard here. The first thing that I have, because there's so many, genuinely, I narrowed it down to 5 and I wrote them down, and I have 5 prioritized here. But honestly, I'm trying to articulate something that is genuinely more of a feeling. So I wanted to write them down to be concise, but there's just so many. There's so many other things that I had envisioned and wanted to do and am constant and still to this day pursuing and finding joy in. So the first one is freedom. I wanted the freedom for myself and my family, especially when the girls were so young and so little. I wanted the freedom to choose what our days looked like and felt like. I didn't want to be tied down to specific schedules, especially when the kids were sick. I wanted the freedom to take care of them in the way that I could take care of them, in the time frame that I could take care of them. I wanted them to be able to have nap schedules at home in the way that they needed a nap schedule, not because that's what was convenient for a daycare. I wanted them to have the freedom to wake up in the morning when they needed to wake up and go to bed when we needed them to go to bed, and go to the park during the day when we wanted to go to the park, or pursue any of the things that we were interested in doing together as a family. I wanted that freedom. I wanted that space and the energy that you feel around freedom. So going into the next one, freedom for me really ties into flexibility. I wanted to be able to give them the space for us to be flexible, to shift our schedules, to shift our routines, to meet the needs of them, my children, to meet the needs of myself, especially as you're growing your family. The needs of for yourself shift and change when you're pregnant, or when you have a newborn, or if your husband has a job change. I wanted that flexibility to support him, to support my children, to support myself in if his hours shifted or if his roles shifted. I wanted that freedom and that flexibility to roll with the punches, to go with the ebbs and flows of our lives without feeling the stress and the pressure of being so tied down to my career outside of our home. I just couldn't envision us working together as a family in that way. So, and for that to just flow functionally. It just felt so much like I was going to go in one direction and he was going to go in one direction. And we were so tied by our schedules that it was like our children were just little tiny snippets of our lives and almost more of a burden than they were actually a part of our family, living this family lifestyle versus just seeing them every once in a while. So number 3 is I wanted every single day to feel like the weekend. I wanted every single day to be flexible and to feel the freedom of doing whatever we wanted. Those things that I just described are obtainable on Saturday and Sunday for, a more traditional like working family. If they work Monday through Friday, those things are obtainable 2 days out of the week. I wanted 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 365 days a year. I wanted every single day to feel like the weekend. And I wanted the extra bonus of the holiday time. I wanted to enjoy Christmas without having to take time off. I wanted to have the entire week of Christmas filled with activities and crafts and wrapping presents and sitting around the Christmas tree and listening to Christmas music all day and baking and all of these beautiful, cozy things that happen around the holidays. I didn't want that to be 2 days. I didn't want to be living for the weekend. I wanted every single day to feel like the weekend. I was so tired of dreading Mondays. I lived my life for the weekend to just turn around Sunday night, be dreading going back to work on Monday, especially when we had Gracie. It got even worse. It just didn't seem like this was my purpose. It didn't seem like this was what life was supposed to be about. So I never wanted to dread those Mondays anymore. I was done. And now Mondays are one of my favorite days of the week. We've had a beautiful weekend, hopefully. I know that there's struggles on the weekends, but we've had a weekend with Brad. We've been able to be fully present, and there's no pressure for me to have to go back to work by a specific time on Monday. The girls and I have our morning routine already established. We have our weekly routine already established. And it's sort of Monday is our reset, our day to actually transition back from the freedom and the flexibility of the weekend to also still a free and flexible Monday. As we transition back into the week, we add in a little bit more structure as our week goes along. So number 4, I already kind of mentioned this and I just want to go into it a little bit further, is I wanted to create cozy. I wanted us to love being home and love being together and being fully immersed in this time, in this moment. And I wanted the kids, I wanted to see them like playing in our home and snuggling on the couch and reading stories and playing with the dog and gardening in the backyard or playing in the grass. I wanted us to have picnics at lunchtime, in the backyard. I wanted to just create this homey, cozy, loving, beautiful space that my children loved growing up in. And it takes effort. It does. And I know that. And I already kind of mentioned that with the freedom and the flexibility, having the time to take care of yourself and making that a priority in order to have the energy and the discipline to create cozy, because that it takes work and it takes intentionality. But I wanted the time to do that. I didn't want it to be cozy just because it was the weekend and we wanted to be lazy. If it was a Tuesday rainy afternoon, I wanted to enjoy that rainy afternoon on a Tuesday, not because I had to wait for the weekend. I wanted it to be any day that we wanted to cozy and cuddle up or make tea or read stories out loud or watch a movie. If I wanted to watch a movie with the girls, I didn't want it to have to be just on a Saturday or just on a Friday night. I wanted it to be any time that felt right, that felt good for us to spend quality time together and connect again. And that goes right into number 5. Number 5 is I wanted to be present. I wanted to be present for all of it. I wanted to be the one that set them up for their naps. I wanted to create the cozy napping space and to tuck them in and tell them that I love them and tell them that I'm proud of them. Each of those moments I wanted to be present for. I didn't want somebody else being present for those moments. I wanted those moments for my children, for me to be present with them. I wanted them to see me being the mother that I knew that I could be while I was with them every single day of the week. Now, that's a lot to be with them every single day. And I knew what I was committing to, but I didn't fully understand what that meant and the sacrifices that we would have to make as a couple and as a family. But now that I have embraced that and I'm 8 years into this and I've learned a few things, I love going back and trying to feel those feelings again and see and understand that through a lot of effort and a lot of work, I've made all of that happen. Brad and I, we have made all of that happen. And we've worked so hard to be able to create this life where we can be present. He can be present on the weekends with the kids because I support him in his role while he's working. And I can be present with the kids when they need me, especially when they're sick. If you guys follow my Instagram stories, you would have seen that Olivia has been sick and she's still not over it. And it's been really tough and it's really scary, but I'm here. I'm present. I don't have to worry about calling into my job to take off work. I'm not stressed about losing a paycheck because I have to take her to the doctor. I'm not worried about all of the other commitments that I have outside of being a full-time mom because that's my job. That's what I signed up for, to be present and to be in this moment, to take care of her and meet all of their needs, whatever those needs are. You guys also saw me you've seen me with Lily of she's hit too hard. You've seen the challenges, or you've seen me post in my stories about the challenges of raising a very independent, busy 2-year-old. And she has drug us through the ringer. But you know what? I get to see all of the beautiful moments that she has that make me fall in love with her every single day, over and over and over again. And now I understand that I need to put her on my back. I need to start wearing her again. And I can be present for all of those needs, for her emotional support. She's turning to me. She's not turning to a daycare provider or even another family member. If you have, if you're a full-time mom and they're going somewhere else, she's relying on me. And that is a heavy load. It is, but that's what I wanted in motherhood. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be the mother to my children that they needed. And it wears on us and it's very draining and you get touched out, so touched out as a full-time mom. But if we can take a moment and go back to that rose-colored glasses moment when we decided or we realized and we knew, okay, this is it. I'm going to be a full-time mom. I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. And you have these hopes and these dreams and these visions for the possibilities that you are looking forward to as a stay-at-home mom, and the things that you want to bring to your life and the things that you want to bring to your children's lives. All of those goals, all of those dreams are obtainable, at least to a certain point. You can create that feeling. It takes intentionality. It takes dedication. It takes consistency. It takes you working on yourself so you have the energy and the focus to do it, but it's all obtainable. And anytime that you're feeling less than, or anytime that you're struggling to see your worth or find the value in your role or the joy in your role, flash back to that moment. Flash back to the rose-colored glasses moment and remember what it was that you wanted to obtain. Remember the possibilities that you had in your heart and the feelings that you had about being a stay-at-home mom. Because if you flash back, which is what I did tonight, I did this tonight. And I looked at Lily when she was in the bath, and I immediately found myself being more present. And I immediately found myself feeling more grateful for the fact that I could slowly give her a bath and enjoy every moment with her without stressing about needing to go back to work the next day. I could meet her needs. And if we had a little bit of a later bedtime, which we did tonight, it's okay. It's 100% okay because I am meeting her needs. I am meeting my needs. And I can also meet the needs of my husband as well. I can meet the needs of the entire household because of this role that I've chosen. And what that does is it brings us gratitude. It brings us joy in the moment because we realize that we can slow down. We don't have to always push, push, push because we have the space, because we have the freedom and the flexibility to do so. We find the gratitude and we have the understanding that we can slow down and we can take a step back and do what we need to do to push back the feelings of overwhelm, to overcome those feelings that we are inadequate or that we are not enough. We have the space, the time, the freedom, and the flexibility to find joy in the things that we originally thought and had goals to pursue. So, if you're ever in a place where you're questioning your worth, like I said, please come back to this podcast episode. I hope that you find inspiration in it. I hope that you understand that the dreams that you had and the goals that you had, those are there. Those are still there, and you're still working on them, and you can slow down and you can find gratitude in those moments, but it does take that intentionality. It takes that moment. So I hope you guys have a beautiful week this week. I hope you find joy in the little things. I encourage you at the end of the day to write down a few things in a gratitude journal. If at the end of the day you are feeling defeated, one of the best exercises that you can do is write 3 things. Just start with three things that you're grateful for in your gratitude journal. And it may be simple little things, it may be big things. It may be, I'm grateful that I have hot water, that I got the dishes done today and I didn't have to boil water before I washed them. That's a really, really big deal. It may be that you're grateful for this role, that you're grateful to be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe you're grateful for a neighbor that brought you a dozen cookies, or you're grateful for the phone call from a friend that helped cheer you up. Maybe you're grateful for this podcast and this community, but write 3 things down that you find gratitude in that day at the end of the day, especially on those days where you're struggling and you feel like you haven't accomplished anything. It will turn your mindset around before you lay your head down at night. It's a beautiful, tangible activity that you can do that can really help end your day so that you start your day the next morning with a clear head and a grateful heart. And if you ever have any questions or you're ever struggling, like I said at the beginning of this episode, please head over to our Facebook community. It's a beautiful, supportive community where we talk about anything and everything having to do with stay-at-home mom life. So have a beautiful week, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to talking to you all again very soon.